Hello and welcome to South Asia Focus. I am Smita Prakash. In Pakistan, PTI Chief Imran Khan announced yet another plan to destabilize the government of Nawaz Sharif with a series of shutdowns in various cities. The Prime Minister, meanwhile, undeterred by Imran Khan's container protests and daily speeches, first attended the SAARC summit in Kathmandu and then buzzed off to London to attend the Afghanistan conference. The Pakistani Army Chief General Raheel Shareef returned to Islamabad after spending several weeks in the US. On his return, he said resolving the Kashmir issue and the Palestinian problem was important for world peace. Meanwhile, elections continued on schedule in Kashmir to elect the state government. However, before the third phase, terror attacks took place in the Uri sector. To speak about all these happenings in the Indian subcontinent, we have with us international relations and security expert Sushant Sareen. Thank you for speaking with us, Sushant. Imran Khan, let's begin with him. He said everything would be crystal clear by end November, but then comes with this new schedule, this Plan C. Some are calling it Plan C for Plan Choke. Now, is there a game plan that Mr. Khan has, or is it just that he's got used to climbing on top of that container giving speeches?
I think he has got into the habit of painting himself into a corner, much like his country does. That they paint themselves into a corner, and then after all that grandstanding, they look for a face-saving way out. Unfortunately for Imran Khan, I don't think there's a very easy face-saving that he can get from the government, because his basic minimum, which he would regard as a face-saver, is something that the government would be loath to give to him. So it's not just the Judicial Commission, it's going to be what is the terms of reference. What he wants is that if there is evidence of whatever the constituencies which are designated, there's evidence of not just irregularities but mass scale rigging. Actually, the government says that if you come across any evidence of some systematic rigging, then yes, the government should quit and fresh election should be called. Imran Khan wants that even if there are some irregularities which are proven or something which is out of the ordinary, then the election should be called off, the Prime Minister should resign, and fresh elections should be called.
Initially he had said that not even talks, no, nothing short of resignation of the Prime Minister. Now he says that he's willing to talk, and there seems to be some back channel work which is going on. So is there a climb down that he has done?
Like I said, he had painted himself into a corner by taking the kind of strident position he had taken. And everybody was saying that, look, if with about 2,000 people, which is what at the height of his dharna after the first couple of days was the number of people he would address every day. Nowadays, it's about 250, 300 people. If on the basis of this, you are going to demand the pulling down of a government, then tomorrow anybody can come and every 6 months you will be having elections. It was an untenable proposition what Imran Khan was making. The thing is that at the time he started off, the political situation in the country was such that he seemed to be getting a nudge and a push and a wink and a nod from the Pakistani
because he had also Tahirul Qadri and the army back.
Even Tahirul Qadri was with the nudge and the wink of the army.
Okay.
But after they had pushed Nawaz Sharif again into a corner, and Nawaz Sharif succumbed and practically gave in to all of the army's demands.
Which is give up Afghanistan and give up the India policy, I've heard.
Everything practically, except for municipal functions that you can go and inaugurate a road here, a hospital there, make a statement here. Apart from the, the ceremonial functions of governance or the municipal functions of governance, everything else is practically now being run by the army.
So what happened to Nawaz Sharif? Tell me, here's a person, he's the nuclear prime minister of Pakistan. And why is he now looking so weak that he is unable to handle even a dharna politics?
I don't think he is unable to handle it. I think what he might have handled it differently, but he got spooked by the kind of support that the establishment was seen to be given to Imran Khan and Tahirul Qadri. That is when he stepped back. Once he stepped back, it was a slippery slope down. Now a situation has been reached where he feels relatively reassured that he is not going to be deposed by the army.
Why was he, no, to come back to the position, it's not as if he was installed out there by the army. He had a fantastic mandate. So on the basis of that mandate, on the strength of that mandate, he could have taken on the army, isn't it? Or is it just that no prime minister in Pakistan can afford to do that?
Well, that was precisely the problem. He tried to do it in his own way, in a very soft manner. by prosecuting Musharraf and a number of other issues, including the assassination attempt on Hamid Mir, the kind of support he gave to GeoTV, which the army has tried to close down, shut down.
Via the Gilgit-Baltistan court.
Partly by the Gilgit-Baltistan court, but partly through the cable network, by putting pressure on the cable operators and a variety of other means. So I think that was the thing which kind of, whatever he was trying to do vis-a-vis implementing civilian supremacy, I think that got shot down. As a result, he realized that he is at best a municipal commissioner, not the prime minister. He might hold the rank of prime minister, but his status is that of a municipal commissioner. He seems to have reconciled to it for now, which means that because he is now assured of his position, he is not too worried about this shutdown plan of Imran Khan.
Okay, now when we come back to the shutdown, Imran Khan calls for a shutdown. At the same time, Hafiz Saeed has this huge rally in JUD rally in Lahore, clearly calling hundreds of thousands of people, having special trains to bring them in, ferry them in, having this huge social media contingent sitting in tents. Clearly, the JUD-LET combine has the support of the Punjab government in Pakistan to hold this rally. You have that, and then you have the attacks in Kashmir to destabilize the electoral process.
Not just the Punjab government. In fact, the original date which Imran Khan gave for shutting down Lahore was the 4th of December, which is the first day of the JUD rally. And then he realized that, look, the JUD rally will be taking place. That is the guy who has the support of the establishment. I can't afford to take him on. It's one thing to take on the municipal commissioner. It's another thing to take on the real government or the representative of the real government.
So he changes the dates.
So he changes the dates, number one. Number two, as far as the Punjab government or the central government is concerned, we already know that even after the UN crackdown on the JUD, the Punjab government continued to fund almost to about 80 million rupees some of the establishments of the JUD.
That's the social work.
Social welfare work, you know, all of that nonsense. So that was happening. The Pakistani establishment, which is the real state or the deep state, continues to support these guys. They continue to make the distinction between good and bad terrorists. Perhaps they might have ended that, or they might be seen to be ending that distinction between good and bad Taliban. But when it comes to good and...
Sartaj Aziz's comment about our guys and their guys.
Sartaj Aziz doesn't even control his own office, so let's forget about his controlling the policy of Pakistan. Perhaps he was living, you know, I think his problem was that he is living in the past. So he still thinks that that would have been what the army would have wanted him to say. So I think it's a bit of a time warp as far as he's concerned. But the army's policy, I would agree with you. They don't have that distinction. They maintain that distinction between good and bad Taliban, but they seem to have convinced the Americans and the rest of the Western community that they don't. But they continue to maintain the distinction between good and bad terrorists. Hafiz Saeed, for us and for the rest of the world, is a terrorist. For them, he's a social worker.
Right. So, do you think that in the first phase of elections, Hafiz Saeed and Said Salahuddin and all had not activated their cells in Kashmir, or they were just watching what's going to happen in the elections? Why is it that the first phase and the second phase, one didn't see these terror attacks, and just before the third phase, there is this surge in terror strikes?
I would imagine that in the first phase, there was probably this expectation inside Pakistan that perhaps the turnout will be very, very below average, you know, not more than 20-25%. Then they could make a play that, you know, the Kashmiris have voted with their feet. The first phase turnout of over 70% seems to have actually, you know, unnerved them, got them into a kind of a panicky state. If you see the series of incidents after the first phase, you suddenly see a bit of a spike in violence, both in terms of street violence, in terms of throwing a grenade here, of a firing incident there. You also see attempts at infiltration, some of which were preempted and prevented. But obviously the second phase went by, and in the second phase, once again, we saw an over 70% turnout. now it's desperation. So now they are really ratcheting up the violence, probably reactivating some of the sleeper cells which might have been present. There might have been some fresh infiltration taking place. Also keep in mind that this is an year of which is unusually warm. So many of the passes which under normal circumstances would have closed by now, and infiltration would have become very difficult, is a lot more possible right now. So maybe they've taken advantage of that. There might have been some fresh infiltration. So they're going to try and ratchet up the violence. But I don't think this is really going to work, because even if the voting percentage was to fall by a couple of percentage points now, I think purely on a propaganda point of view, the Indian state is on a very good wicket, because now with the kind of violence they have ratcheted up, we can always say that, look, these guys were playing the spoilers. The people of Kashmir had put their faith in the ballot over the bullet, but the Pakistanis seem to continue to rely upon the bullet, and that is it. So I think it's a lose-lose situation as far as the Paks are concerned, either which way.
Well, let's hope it doesn't impact negatively on polling. Thank you very much for speaking with us, Sushant.
Thanks for having me.
That's all we have for you this week. See you again next week.